My name is Jovanda Hughes. I am 27 and I'm calling in from Los Angeles, California.
Awesome. And how long have you lived in Los Angeles, Jovanda?
Um, it's been 6 years now.
And what brought you out to LA?
Acting, become an actress. That's the goal.
And where did you live before LA?
Connecticut.
You miss Connecticut, or do you like living in LA?
I honestly, I don't really. I think I miss it for like sentimental reasons because I grew up there, spent the majority of my life there, but I don't miss anything from it per se. I'm definitely very content with the decision to move to Los Angeles.
Awesome. And you said you're acting. Is that your full time career right now?
No, I am a cosmetologist, so I dabble in different things, but I do hair and I do like eyebrows as well.
And how long have you been doing that for?
I've been doing this, so I've been licensed since 2014. So it's been like on and off with different jobs. I've done like makeup before, I've been at another hair salon. Where I'm currently at right now, I've been there for about a year.
And how much you make a year, or how much you make a month currently with that?
With just the salon job, I want to say about like anywhere from like 2,200 to 2,500.
Or is that just based on how many different people come in to get services from you? It's not. Is it not salary, or is it more of project based? I guess you'd call it.
No, yeah, yeah. It's salary. It's salary plus tips. So yeah, it just depends on how many clients I get through in a day.
Awesome. And are you responsible for bringing clients in, or are you part of a larger hair salon that they get people to call and they say, "Hey, Javon is available on this date"?
Correct. I'm a part of a larger corporation, I guess. So I actually don't have say in my book.
Okay.
hmm
And how much you make a month from your acting gigs currently?
I mean, it that depends. But I'll give an average of like anywhere from I want to say $100 to 250, and that's if I'm lucky. If I get something for that month, or but yeah, I would say that's like the average.
Okay, so rough net income, you're bringing home about $2,300 to $2,700 about.
Yeah, about yeah.
And did you go to school, or when you got licensed, was you just when you got licensed and did go to college?
I did go to college for a year. I went to a school in Massachusetts. I went to Newberry College. I left after a year. I realized I wanted to do something in the art field. So after a year, I went back home to Connecticut. I enrolled into Paul Mitchell, and then I got my license.
And what were you studying when you're in at Newberry?
Fashion merchandising.
And you decided that just wasn't the route you wanted to go?
Yeah, no, I knew I wanted to go to Paul Mitchell at some point. My high school didn't set us up for college very well. I was under the impression that if I didn't go to college, I would be a homeless person eventually. So that's what made me pick college over cosmetology school. Once I got to college, that's when reality set in, and I was like, oh, I don't really like it here, and I don't need to be here in order to be successful. So unfortunately, it took going to college and getting that loan to realize that. But yeah, so after that year, I was like, this isn't for me. So I decided to come back to Connecticut.
And how much did you take out in student loans for that 1 year of college?
My dad handled all that, but to give you somewhat of an estimate, because I think I know how much all my loans are, unless I know what it is for Paul Mitchell. Sorry, it's a little, but I want to say it couldn't have been more than $5,000, if that. Because I believe my entire student loans and altogether is like 21,000. So I believe that's for Paul Mitchell and for that 1 year of school. So I don't even think it was a $5,000. I want to say so. Less than 5,000,
Okay, so
I
about
guess.
a
Yeah.
little under 5,000 for the 1 year at Newberry, and then you took out
hmm
16,000 for Paul Mitchell to get your license.
hmm
And how long did it take for you to get your license when you went to Paul Mitchell?
About a year.
Okay, so it's quick.
hmm
But $16,000. Are you aware that student loans are resuming come October?
Yes, I am. Honestly, I got the email that the student loans, that I guess, program, I know they were going to maybe be forgiven, and now it's in limbo right now. I'm going to cross my fingers. Um, but I'm kind of stunned right now. I'm kind of just like, I don't know what to do. But
Yeah, I mean, it was in a limbo period because the executive order, and then it got sent to the Supreme Court, so it's in limbo. And now the Supreme Court said, "Hey, the executive order doesn't have the authority to forgive this much in student loans," and so now it's set to resume come October. Will it be pushed further back? I don't know. I can't read the future, but see the future. But right now, it's set to resume in October, and that's going to be coming down the mountain for millions of people when they haven't been paying student loans for 3 years now, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you know what your minimum payment's going to be on those when it resumes?
I honestly have no idea.
So you got the email that they're going to be resuming or coming due soon, and just decided to ignore it and forget about it and hope it just something happens between now and then.
That's exactly what. Yeah. I mean, I am kind of being, I don't know if naive is the word, but yeah, I was kind of like putting it on the back burner, didn't want to think about it. I recently got another email that said, we know that the student loan forgiveness has been declined, but there is that slight possibility that maybe you might be able to get forgiveness. And so I'm going to keep my eyes open because I definitely don't want to screw myself over if I do need to actually start paying. So I will get to it, definitely.
That
Yeah.
definitely to get to and at least think about it, understand what your minimum payments are, start making a plan for it.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, there's definitely still a slight chance that one day loans do get forgiven or part of them do. But at the same time, do you want to depend on the government to get rid of your debt? Because frankly, I don't think the government's going to be the most dependable vehicle for solving all your problems.
You're right. You're right. Yep.
Do you know what your interest rate is on the student loans?
Oh gosh, you're just I don't. I'm probably gonna be the
Come on, you got to know this information. You got to know your finances. Otherwise, it's gonna end badly.
you're right.
Okay, well,
But I don't. But you know what? I should write these things down so I will not be able to say that for much longer.
yeah, need to understand how much your minimum payment is going to be. You need to understand the exact day that your first payment's due, and you need to understand what your interest rate on these loans are, and the term, how long it is, how long it's going to take for you to pay them off if you're making minimum payments, how long it will take to pay them off if you're paying a couple $100s more a month. These are the kind of things you need to be thinking about to figure out how do you get out of debt and stay out of debt once you're out of debt.
100%. I agree 100%.
So let's kind of dive in, I guess, into your monthly expenses here. Or I guess
Hmm.
first and foremost, I'm curious. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your current financial situation? On a 1 being the worst possible and 10 being the best possible.
I would say it's like a 6. Not terrible. It's not fantastic. It's coasting would be the word. Coasting.
Coasting in the financial world, I don't know if it'd be a 6, but we'll kind of dive into this. We'll kind of uncover some of this, and I'll give you, once we talk through everything, I'll kind of tell you where I think you stand, just from my point of view, and some different ideas of what I would do if I was in your shoes. But I definitely have seen, I mean, making that decision, going to cosmetology school for a year and not going to a 4-year university, taking out $40,000 worth of student loans, you're definitely have a lower student loan debt than some people I've talked to. So, great. Well, let's dive into monthly expenses. So I see here your rent $1,250 and home utilities $1,200. So your total expenses on a monthly basis is $1,370 for just your housing. That seems frankly quite a bit high for your income.
You know, I think I put that, sorry. The utilities is incorrect. It should be $120.
So yeah, utilities I have at 120, but your rent is 1,250.
Correct. Okay, sorry, maybe I misheard you. That is correct.
Yeah, so that's about $1,400 in housing expenses, bringing in about $2,200 a year. Does that stress you out ever?
You know, it doesn't, well, it has at a point. For a while, it really didn't because I was making ends meet. Like I had a little decent amount of money saved up to fall back on. And then every time I got paid, it was like one paycheck, I was like, that's rent. And then the second paycheck, maybe $300 was for like utilities and other stuff. So maybe I would have anywhere from like, what would that be? Maybe like $600-700, a couple $100 left over. So I would feel like okay because I didn't spend all of my paycheck on things. So I would be, I thought it was okay because I wasn't working paycheck to paycheck struggling. So was just content with that.
Content with it, but having, I guess, breathing room right now. Or do you live by yourself?
I live with my sister.
You live with your sister? Okay. So y'all splitting that rent equally right now?
Hmm.
Because I mean, right now if your gross income is about $2,700 before taxes, your rent is currently about 46% of your gross income.
Hmm.
Which typically the rule is try to keep that below 30% of your gross income. So definitely is high, and something just to be honestly, as we kind of talk through this and talk through your budget and where your money's going, that's definitely one thing that kind of stands out. It is your biggest expense, obviously. But something that, frankly, if I was in your shoes, I'd be looking at, okay, what are some options when this lease expires to find another apartment that is $800, $900, $950 that allows you just more breathing room. Obviously, LA is an expensive place to live, one of the higher cost of living cities in America. But if you can get that down a couple $100s, that's going to give you a lot more breathing room to either paying down debt, having more money to invest, or eating out, or things that you enjoy doing in life. So
Yeah.
then you got car insurance for $80. No car payment?
No, I bought my car a couple years ago. It's like a little rinky dink, like a '07 Mini Cooper. So I just bought it outright for like $5,000. And
Nice.
yeah,
That's, hey, the
yeah,
best kind of car is a car without a car payment. So,
right. Yes. So
and keep it that way.
I will.
Gas $40, groceries $200. So right now your total needs are $1,690 a month,
Hmm.
and so about $1,700 out of your $2,200 roughly net income. So about 80% of your, or I guess about 76.8% of your net income is going towards total needs, which again, most people are like trying to keep it the 50-30-20 rule, where it's 50% going towards needs, 20% savings, 30% going to 30% going towards wants. So you're kind of over that a little bit, which I think we'll kind of dive into more, and why at some point you kind of feel like don't have enough money to spend on things you want to spend on. So, and then we got subscriptions, eating out, personal care, shopping, total fund money about $200 a month. So brings your total expenses to about $1,900 with net income of $2,200. If these are your real budget numbers and you're sticking to these, then hey, you have some breathing room. You at least have $300 in there because student loan payments are coming due in a few months, and that's going to suck up most of it. But you're in a spot where, as long as you're spending less than, or you're spending these budgets are a little bit less, then you're be in a spot where you should be able to afford your student loan payments. You won't have anything left over at the end of the month, in a spot where you haven't taken on more debt to afford to live. So
So
go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna just say my main, I guess, what I'm after right now is because you were saying it would be smart to find a place that's a little less expensive, obviously to not spend as much money on rent. Not that I've looked all across Los Angeles, but I think maybe because I have looked in the past for something less expensive. They exist. It's just not something I'd feel comfortable living in. So it's like, okay, well, if I can't find an apartment that's less expensive, I need to what can I do to make more money? So that's been my thought process. What are my skills and what can I charge people for? So there are different avenues that I'm looking at right now to find ways to bring in more money.
Yeah, and 100%. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, frankly, living in LA, making $2,200 a month net take home pay is not easy by any means. I mean, it's a very expensive city to live in, from housing to food to everything else in between. You got to drive all over the place. So definitely, I think that's one of the easiest ways to give yourself more breathing room is how can you pick up more hours? How can you find a second job on the weekends, or a higher paying salon that you're working for that allows you to bump up from $2,200 to $2,800 a month. And that starts giving you breathing room, more space, and allows you to feel like you can breathe a little bit there. What are some of the things that you're kind of looking at right now for bringing in more income?
Right now, I make YouTube videos, and at a point, I was making a lot of money doing that. During COVID, I was making the most money
Nice.
doing that.
What kind of videos?
ASMR.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of ASMR were you doing?
All types of ASMR. So it's just a lot of like, I hate the word role plays, but a lot of just like, a librarian typing, or like you're at a hair salon getting your hair brushed, or getting your hair cut. Just like fake little scenarios, stuff like that. Just anything tingly, I guess you could say, but a lot of different things. Yeah.
And how much were you making doing that?
Um, the most I've made from that is $500. But
In a month?
now in a month. But lately, the past couple of months, I want to say it's been anywhere from like $200 to like 125. It's that would, but 500 was when a video like went almost viral. So I think that was when it was really hot. But like now that it's calmed down and it's more like typical average views, it's about like 200 to like 125.
Okay. Making some money on the internet. So that's
Mhm.
always trying to figure out ways to do that. What other things are you looking at for making more income?
Um, Definitely taking ASMR to TikTok or even with YouTube. There's different things on YouTube you can do. You don't, it's not just, posting a video anymore. They have shorts and so shorts I have not done on YouTube. TikTok, you can do, oh, I'm sorry, on TikTok and YouTube, you can do continuous streams, 24-hour streams, an hour streams, and that makes a lot of money. That even on Twitch, doing the same exact thing, just finding different platforms, but doing the same exact thing. Um, I've learned that those long broadcasts are great because if people come to it over and over again. So that, and then also I wanted to start providing hair services since I'm a cosmetologist. I do owe so many hair services at my salon, and I want to start posting online or posting on hair app, providing other services that I can do outside the salon, that I would keep 100% of that money. So yeah, just other cosmetology related things that I could just charge on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the most straightforward way. I think the ASMR. I mean, you've obviously figured out how to make a little bit of money on the internet, on YouTube, and other platforms can start getting going. It's obviously a difficult game and a long term game. Right now, I mean, I started this podcast 3 months ago now and made $0. But I mean, my goal from this isn't to make money. It's, hey, how do I help the world learn more about money?
Hmm.
But it also takes time and has ebbs and flows. Platforms can ban you. Platforms can change this and that and affect it too. But
Hmm.
in terms of like straightforwardness, in terms of how do you drive more income, I think definitely trying to figure out how do you build a book of business outside of your current salon that you're working at to bring more customers in, and that, like you said, you get to retain 100% of that income versus the salon obviously taking a chunk of it. So
Hmm.
definitely something I look at, trying to figure out how do I do this on the weekends, how do I work for another salon on the weekend or different days, and how do you start doing stuff for weddings or for photo shoots, stuff like that, where there's a lot of demand in the wedding industry, and people like spending a lot of money in that industry too. So,
Hmm.
um, what was your childhood like growing up in Connecticut?
I grew up with four sisters, so I had a big family. We all danced, and I did a lot of, we went to like an arts well, I was homeschooled for a little bit, but anyway, that's irrelevant, I guess. I went to an arts middle school, so I did a lot of artsy things. I do remember though, when I was, let's say 10, my mom sat all my sisters down and she was like, we're in debt. So we had danced since we were like 3 years old. We danced until like 3 to like 14. So for a very long time. And so maybe actually when I was like 12, she was like, we're in debt right now. Money's a little bit tighter. So for dance, you can't do three performances like you usually do. You have to do one because she had to pay for all five kids three performances. So we went down to one performance. But it was, I could never tell we were in debt. Like we always had food to eat. We always had clothes. We weren't big on like, oh, we need to go shopping all the time. Yeah, they always made the ends meet. So it never affected me really. Yeah.
What did your parents do for work?
My mom, I know what she does now. I feel like I want to say in the nursing industry because right now well, gosh, she works at a chiropractor's office now, but it's probably, I want to say, at a hospital
Mhm.
as something that's not like a doctor or something that makes $1 bazillion a year, something on the lower end. And my dad, he worked in like the TV industry. Again, nothing, he didn't make millions or anything. It wasn't like the best paying job, but like I think he was a producer. So yeah, both of them had like modest incomes.
Yeah. And how did they approach money? How did you witness them approaching money as you grew up? Obviously, you said your mom told you they're in debt about 12 years old, but what are the ways that you see them spend their money, use their money, and kind of utilize money?
I mean, I guess I would say I've just seen them spend it on just all the basic necessities, food, um, the shopping that we did. I think we've only done shopping for like back to school shopping. Um, let's see what else. And dance, I guess.
Sounds like they spend a lot of money on dance with five daughters.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie to this. A couple years ago, my mom told her someone had called her and they were like, "You still have like a little total, like a little balance." And she had like never paid it off. It wasn't like they were, angry or anything, but she kind of just brushed it off. She was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I would say just on the basic things that we needed, I would say that's nothing, they didn't go shopping, they didn't go on trips, they didn't do anything crazy. It was just, yeah,
Trying to make
that's,
ends meet with five
yeah.
daughters and living in Connecticut, because I know Connecticut
Yeah.
is not really the cheapest place in the world to live either.
No, it's not either.
Did your parents really, I guess, as you're growing up, outside of when they had to cut down the dance lessons, they ever talk to you much about money growing up to you or your sisters?
I know, I can't recall. No.
They ever teach you about money along the way, or like as you're going through school, how to budget, what taxes are, investing?
Nope.
And do you ever talk to your parents now about money or your sisters about money?
I mean, not really. My dad has told me that, I mean, investing has kind of come up. My mom actually, and my dad actually, that was a lie, have both brought up investing. Maybe I want to say like within the past year or two, kind of recently, to look into investing because that's just, smart road to go into. Yeah, no, that actually, yeah, just investing. They brought it up. Oh yeah, my dad was saying to maybe not keep money in the bank because you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, definitely investing has been brought up.
I mean, with banks, a lot of people sometimes are skeptical of banks failing or this or that happening. But unless you're keeping over $250,000 in a single bank, then typically okay. And the average American does not have $250,000 in a singular bank account. And the government insures up to $250,000 per account at a single bank. So as long as you don't have more than that in a bank account, then you don't have really much to worry about in terms of banks failing. And there's a couple of banks that have failed earlier this year, but the government stepped in and immediately insured all of that to make sure it was people didn't panic and have a freak out, and everyone had access to their funds. So, but I obviously long term, you don't want all your money to be sitting in a savings account from when you're 27 years old till you're 65, because it's not going to beat inflation sitting in there. So you need to start looking about having an emergency fund set up in your bank account for when stuff happens in life, because something always comes up and something happens. It's always good to have a buffer, whether you get laid off or you have a house and a pipe bursts or your car breaks down, you need to fix something. But outside of that, it's always good to be figuring out how you invest that into index funds and kind of do that for the long term, either in retirement accounts or in brokerage accounts. So how much you know about investing, or what is your parents or others taught you about investing?
I don't know much. I tried there was a point where I was watching YouTube videos to learn about like crypto. That's what I was, because there's so many different
It's not where you
ways.
should start with investing.
Okay.
That's
So,
if you have fun money to throw around, then okay, start. You can put a small percentage of your net worth in there, but you should not be putting
yeah.
5-10% of your net worth in crypto unless you just have money that you don't care about and you don't care if it goes up, down, and all around. Besides that, I mean, where you should be focused on is index funds. Are you familiar with index funds?
I'm not.
Index funds, think of, I guess we'll start with Apple. Apple stock, Apple. Everyone knows Apple. And you can either buy one share of Apple, it's about $190 right now, or instead of taking that $190 and putting it into Apple, where if it's all solely based on Apple and you have all your eggs in the basket of Apple, which frankly, the last 20 years, it's a good investment with Apple. But 20 years ago, you could invest in the top 10 companies in the United States. Majority of them are not in the top 10 in terms of market cap today. And you can never sit here and understand what's going to be here in 10 years and 20 years, what new technology, what new companies are coming out. And so the idea of index funds is like the S&P 500 is a combination of the top 500 stocks in America. And an index fund, instead of putting $190 into Apple, you're putting $190 that's kind of split across those 500 companies. So if one of those companies goes under, if one of them goes bankrupt, or new companies come into the S&P 500, you're tracking that. You're tracking all 500 of them versus having all your eggs in one basket. So think of it as a basket of stocks. and you're buying bits and pieces. So S&P 500 index fund might be 6 or 7% Apple, might be 5 or 6% Google, depending on what the market cap of those are at the time. And that can change too. But instead of buying 100% of one single stock, you're buying bits and pieces of different ones, which de-risks you and allows you to kind of track the performance of the market versus, hey, if you're not working full-time in Wall Street, and even people working full-time in Wall Street can't predict what's going to happen. They can't predict whether a company has financial issues or their sales soar or their sales decline, or COVID happens. And by investing in index funds, that allows you to de-risk yourself. It allows you to not try to time the market. It allows you to try not to outsmart the market or think you're smarter than Wall Street or smarter than the world, essentially. And as Warren Buffett says, I mean, I think he said 99% of people are better off just putting their money in index funds and forgetting about it. And Warren Buffett's by far the greatest investor of essentially all time. And if he's saying that, I'll take that and that advice and go with it. And I mean, I've personally learned that lesson. I've tried a couple of years ago. I thought I was smarter than the market, and I tried to play my game in single stocks. I've made a lot of money in single stocks. I've also lost a lot of money. And if I just stayed after index funds since the beginning, frankly, I'd be in a better spot and would have had higher returns than trying to time the market and trying to get into the latest and greatest company going public or et cetera. So index funds are typically the best route to go. There's ones that track the total world stock market, the US market. There's ones that track the S&P 500. There's small cap funds. There's international funds. And having a good balanced portfolio of index funds is kind of the best route for 99% of people probably to be doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. That's the first time I've heard of it, and I'm glad that I did, because it's investing. The word is, there's so many different lanes that you can go down, and that was my biggest fear. Okay, let me figure out, because I feel like it's kind of hard to pinpoint the best or the best couple that you should invest. It's always a gamble, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. So I love that idea. Like you said, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. If one thing crashes, it's something else is probably going to rise. So
Yep. And single stocks
yeah.
definitely can be a gamble because you're putting all your eggs in one basket. I mean, the SPAC craze 2 years ago, tech companies soared in valuations, and now they're down 80%. And there's other companies that have just continued to track on their merry way. And it's like, if you invest in index funds versus chasing these highs or these lows or the GameStop craze, then frankly, you'd be better off. I mean, Bed Bath & Beyond was one of the ones that went flying high during COVID through all the meme stock craze on Reddit. And Bed Bath & Beyond filed bankruptcy a few months ago. And if you had put all your money into Bed Bath & Beyond at the time, you'd have $0 today because they went under. Versus if you put it all in index funds, hey, if you put your money in a S&P 500 index fund and that goes to zero, that means the top 500 companies in America have gone to zero, which means there are no 500 companies in America, which means there's no companies in America that are public because they continuously cycle new companies in and out of there based off of certain metrics of being in the top 500 and criteria. So if the S&P 500 is worth zero, we all have a lot more problems to deal with than in the U.S. economy than our stock portfolio. So, but yeah, read Ramit Sethi. He's a big personal finance guy. He has a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and he talks all about index fund investing. He talks all about living your rich life, which I think is a great motto for people to understand. And his premise is cut your spending on things you don't love and spend on the areas that you do love. So, for example, you love food and you hate traveling, then, hey, why are you spending money on traveling? Or say you hate eating out or hate food and you love traveling, then eat rice and beans at home and save all your money and spend on traveling. So he has a lot of good premises and teachings for how to think about finances, how to invest when it comes to index funds, and just how to live your rich life, as he calls it. So
yeah, can you actually tell me the book title again? I just want to write it down.
I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
And who's the author?
His name is Ramit Sethi. I can send you this over after via email as well,
That works.
just for you to find it. But he's got a Netflix show out called How to Be Rich, and he's got a book. He's got a podcast. He does a lot of cool things on his podcast as well. He typically brings on couples, and they talk about their financial situation, which anyone watching this, if you want to come on here and do a couples interview about your finances, like Ramit Sethi does with his, I'd love to have couples on here as well. Little plug, try to get more people to come on the show like you, Jovanda. So, but yeah, he's a great guy that I've learned a lot from, and definitely a great resource, I think, to learn from. So what are some of the most what are some of the most important financial lessons you've learned over the years?
That's a great question. I think I would say if you have it, go and pay for it. Like if it's like if you have a bill or something and maybe you have like wiggle room to pay for it, I would say just pay for it. Like don't wait like a couple days. If you have it right then and there, just pay for it because, God forbid something happens and maybe in a week or two, like you don't have those funds there anymore for whatever reason. So I would say that. Important financial. I guess just don't spend. I've never been the type to spend what I don't have because I know I'll have to pay it back. I mean, well, too much of that because I have done,
I was gonna
I
say,
technically, I know, wait, I know that is, I'm being a hypocrite. I'm contradicting myself. I guess unless it's super important, like school or something. I've been told like, oh, don't like I'm not going to go on a shopping spree knowing that I have to go and pay that $2,000 back or something. That's not smart. If it was for like my car and I had to go spend $2,000, that's different because it's a necessity. Only for necessities I would be willing to, take out a loan or accrue debt. But yeah, I guess it's really to just make sure that you pay for everything that you need to pay for before you go and have your fun.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, if you're in debt, if you have things in your life that you can't afford, if you don't have the money, you can't afford it. If you can't pay cash for it, you can't afford it. And live below your means. But on that topic, let's go through these two things. We have a water and power bill for $250, you said, which is debt, and you have rent, $200 in debt there. What is that
Mhm.
from?
So the water and power bill, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power has been very kind ever since COVID. They knew that a lot of people didn't have money or didn't have jobs. So they've been very lenient with how you pay. I think it was kind of just pay what you can, if I'm not mistaken, but fast forward to today. Now they're still being lenient. They haven't turned off my water or anything, but I was doing payment plans with them, and it sounds stupid, but I should have done auto pay because when you don't pay on the date, it cancels your plan. So I have to now re-enroll for a plan. I should get approved. But now I just have to re-enroll for that.
So how long you owe them $250 for?
I want honestly like the past couple months. I want
Why
to say,
why don't you just pay it? You have the money in your bank account right now. You're just
I know.
You
I'm
just have $250 of debt and you have that money in your bank account. I see right now.
okay.
Why don't you just pay it
Okay.
off?
Okay. So to answer your question, I'm not proud to admit this, but because they've been so lenient and because I know I need to, I know there's other options. They, they can, if you, if you're making under a certain amount of money, they're going to cover it for you. But if you're not, there are payment plans available. So that's the reason why. I think it's because I've just been on a payment plan for so long.
But why on
But like
you have the money in your bank account right now?
because I could use it for.
So you just want to have that $250 of debt just overlooming over your head and just like leave it there and be like, oh well, I don't really care. I don't really want to pay them. I know I owe them the money, but and I have the money to pay for them right now. I just don't care enough to do anything about it.
Yes. Yes, but also actually the most important thing is really just because I know I've been on a payment plan, I actually need to get back on it. That's really why. If
Why do you
because
get
I know there's other
if
um
if your
because
if monthly expenses are $1,900 and you're bringing in $2,200, you don't need to be on a payment plan because you are currently spending less than you make.
correct. I think it's just I don't know the word, but
You don't want to get rid of the
I
$250 because you
I
know they're
think
going
I'm
to take
taking
your time.
advantage of them. That's the correct word. I know that I could pay it off, but I'd rather do a payment plan because they're offering it.
But you'd rather be in debt.
I guess technically, yes. I know it doesn't, I would never say that,
And then
but yeah,
you just said 2 minutes ago, don't spend money you don't have. If you
and
have
take care of your,
quote unquote, if you have it, pay for it. And looking at your bank account right now, you have it, but you're not paying for it.
you are correct.
So
And my own,
I would pay that tomorrow and be done with it.
yeah, yeah.
Now
No, you're right. You're right. I don't,
okay, what about the rent here? $200 of the rent.
okay. So that is,
What's the excuse here?
the excuse there is
Do that to your sister, or do you owe that to the apartment complex?
to the apartment complex. There's actually a balance of like it was 600 and we're splitting that. This is like a little leftover balance. This isn't our rent. So we're splitting it down the middle. So we're both paying 300. The other day I paid $100 towards it. By the end of the month I want to take care of the rest of it.
Tomorrow you
Um
do.
And I know,
I mean,
I just,
$450, and yes, you don't have $1 million in your bank account, but
hmm
at the end of last month, you had $3,000.
hmm
And that means you get rid of that $450 worth of debt. You don't even have to think about it again. And you said you're trying to hustle to make more money outside of that.
hmm
So it shouldn't be something that you're worrying about. And you still have, that's still a $2,500 emergency fund that you have in your bank account at that point. What's stopping you from doing that besides yourself?
I guess that really is, that's just it. It's just me just being, what's the word? I guess I think really just taking advantage. Like it doesn't, I don't think that I am, but realistically, I think that is what I am doing. Yeah. But yeah. But you're right. I know I just told you something. Now I'm pedaling back. So that's not really,
Correct. You said if you have it, pay for it, and you have two instances that you can pay for it and you're not. So personally, if I
mhm,
was in your shoes, I'd say, hey, let's get rid of that tomorrow. I don't have to think about paying the water bill or the rent or the apartment complex. Let's get out of the way. You don't have to worry about it again.
mhm,
That way, the only
mhm.
debt that you do have is student loans.
Okay. You're right. You're right.
So you're going to pay for
The
it? You're not
the
going
rent,
to.
no, the rent I will. The rent I will. And
But the water bill, I'm going to
honestly,
take advantage of them for a few more months. And
I will, okay. I will go on the payment plan with them. The thing is, I don't
why? Why
with the
would you on the
payment
payment
plan
plan?
because they're offering it. Why not? There's
Because
no interest. I think it's something
I think
I
that's
understand.
a terrible idea. I hate no interest loans because they sound
Yeah.
amazing, and you're like, oh, this is no interest, and then you do that, and then you do five other ones, and then you go do a buy now pay later shirt. You do a buy now pay later this, and then you get roped into a car payment that's it's interest free, and then you're up to your eyeballs in debt because you thought you could afford these monthly payments, and you get 20 of them, and then
hmm
you're in over your head. Especially for something that's $250 when you have the money in your bank account, just get rid of it.
I hear you. I do. Okay.
On that note, let's go into your expenses over the last month and see
Okay.
what other buy now, pay later things we got on here.
Okay.
So start June, you had $6,200 in your bank account on June 1st, and to end the month, we had $3,014.
hmm
So we had $3,200 go out. We'll kind of go through and see where this money's going.
Okay. I do want to preface this by saying this is not my typical spending habits.
That's what everyone says.
Um, oh, but in all sincerity, I have let like boyfriend borrow money. I've
Oof.
so
Yeah.
this is it's this is going to be a really, but no, yeah, like I don't think I spend that much money, but the what you're going to see is a lot. It's a lot going on.
Let's get to it then.
Let's get to it.
We got Dollar Tree. So you spend $8 at Dollar Tree on June 2nd. We've got two Ubers for $8. We've got an Affirm payment for $24. What is that?
I think that was Amazon. Let me go
So
on.
you did a buy now, pay later on Amazon.
Yes, but this is from,
But it's interest free, so it doesn't matter.
I don't know if that's rhetoric, if
It
you're
was,
being serious.
it was a joke because you said
Okay, that's what I assumed.
if you have it, pay for it. And if you don't have it, don't buy it. And here we are doing buy now, pay later for a $24 purchase on Amazon.
Well, that was the chunk that I paid. The entire total was, I think it was $60, but that was the payment that I made for, because they split it up. So that was just the
But why did
um
you spend the $60 on an item if you didn't have the cash to pay for it, or if you didn't think you could afford it? Why'd you do the multi-payment step?
um because, okay, so maybe I should retract what I said, because now I'm going to keep pedaling back from that lovely statement that I made, because I yeah, I'm gonna retract that. I just like to, if I could split it up, I'll split it up. If I could split it up within 6 months, because I know that it's something, like, let's say it's $20, $30, even if it was $50 a month, I know that's something that I can afford every month and for the next 6 months. So it just makes more sense to me to do it that way.
Let's see how many of these we got on the statement. We've got another Affirm on June 4th for $27.12. And we've got another Affirm for $14.60 on June 9th. So that's three transactions there. Do we have any other buy now, pay laters I see on here? I don't currently see any other ones. So we got three buy now, pay later transactions on your June statement, which when you owe $250 to the water company and you owe $200 in rent to your apartment complex and you have $21,000 in loans, frankly, I wouldn't be taking on any other debt. And I would follow what you said. Honestly, what you said before was awesome. If you don't have it, don't buy it. And if you do have the money, pay for it. Don't take on debt. And you're doing the opposite of that. Now you're tracking your statement, which was the smart decision and smart thing to say. Can probably guarantee you none of those are necessities. They're probably clothes. They're probably nice to haves. They're not necessities. Am I right?
If I am looking at it correctly, because right now on Affirm, I only have two things that I'm paying off right now, but you mentioned three.
Yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, it was something. It was like a green screen for acting. That was what I just had paid off, and then the other two are American airline tickets from when I went home like a couple months ago. To me, I deem everything that I have on buy now, pay later are things that I deemed important. It wasn't like me just shopping just because.
So you're again retracting your statement again because you said you only spend, I mean, the only time you take on debt is if it's an absolute necessity. And obviously going to see your family is important, but taking on debt to go see your family when it's not a life or death situation, in my opinion, is not the smartest thing to do.
I think because I view it as, I know debt is debt, but I think somewhere in my head, I literally just because the payments are so shrunken down, to me, it's like, what's the issue? Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's.
See, that's the same mindset people have when they take on car loans too, though. They're like, oh, the monthly payment's only $250, or oh, the monthly payment's only $500. I can afford that, but it's still at the same time you're buying something that you can't pay for in cash, which means you can't afford it. And life happens, and you're like, okay, if I know I can afford this payment for the next 6 months, I'll pay it off. But then life might happen, and you have to replace your tires in your car, or your brakes go out, or this or that, and guess what? You thought you could afford that, and then you start accruing credit card debt because life happens, and you don't have the funds to carry for it or cover it. So when you're taking on debt for things that aren't necessities, it's just putting yourself in a worse situation when life does happen and you need chunks of money to pay for that. Do you want to get out of debt?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to get out of debt, but then you're taking on more debt to do buy now, pay later stuff.
Yep.
So that is
it's
hypocritical on your actions currently.
Okay. I'm accepting that. The way that I was thinking.
I'm just here to be brutally honest with you. And like, if you want to get out of debt, I will call you out on the things that I don't think are necessities. So you can be like, okay, if you spent $300 last month on things that aren't essential, one, that could be going towards your student loans. And two, that could be going towards your student loans or your water bill or your rent. Especially when you're in a spot when your rent's taking up 20 or about 50% of your net take home pay, at least a little bit more. You're not having the ability to save up money for investing or for retirement. You don't have the ability to spend money on going out to eat, to do this or that. And I'm just trying to identify parts of your life that I think, okay, if she can cut that back, you're going to enjoy life and do these things that are fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's keep going because we have a lot of other transactions. So you have a car in LA, but then there's a lot of Uber transactions.
Yeah, that was my boyfriend.
So you're paying for your boyfriend to take Uber, and is he paying you back for that?
Yes.
Has he paid you back for that yet?
For partially.
How long y'all been together?
On and off for 10 years.
Are there plans in the future to get married, or?
Yes, there is.
Did y'all talk about money much?
We do.
Outside of asking you for money?
Yes. He introduced me to crypto, but it's something that I really didn't get into.
How much money did he lose in crypto?
I wish I knew. I don't know how much he's made or how much he's lost. I know
he's obviously not made anything. He was asking you for money for Ubers.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you that point blank. If he made millions of dollars from crypto, he wouldn't be, or tens of thousands of dollars, he wouldn't be asking you for Ubers right now.
No, you're right. Yeah. He doesn't do that anymore because it's not a guarantee.
A bear market, and yes, has not fared well the last few months. Okay. That's just, I guess, money fights are, I guess, one of the number one leading causes of divorce and relationship issues, et cetera, in America. So I just want to make sure that y'all are having the proper conversations. I mean, I've been with my wife now. We've been together for 11 years this fall. We've been married for a year. We dated throughout high school, college, et cetera, and got married a year ago. We talk about money all the time. That's why I started this podcast, because talked her head off about money, talked my family's head off about money. And we have a very open relationship, talking about money, talking about finances, talking with other people about finances. And I think it's very important to have him be transparent about, especially I'm not opposed to you helping your boyfriend, obviously, if he needs money, But if he's still spending money trading crypto, doing NFTs, not getting a job, whatever, then that's just going to hurt you and cause you to have resentment towards him. If he's $10, $20, $30, however much on $40 in Ubers here. I don't know if there's any other transactions, but if he's not paying you back for that and you see him, again, I don't know what his current situation is, but if you see him doing things that you don't agree with financially, but then he's asking you for $40, that's just going to cause you to be irritated with him and cause y'all's relationship to have issues. And I'm all for combining finances when you get married. I don't think you should combine finances till you're married. But if you're lending him money and he is going out with his friends and going drinking or partying, and you see him doing that, and you're like, okay, well, there's my $40. You should pay me back for Uber. I'm $20,000 debt. I need that money. But you're spending it out, going out partying with your friends. That's just going to cause issues. So just making sure that you're having conversations, being transparent with each other on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
What you said you also loaned him some other money. Where is that on here? Is that the $2,000 on June 6th you zelled to someone?
Yep, that was his landlord.
So you're paying his rent.
Literally just for this month. See, I was like, man, this is not going to be good because this is like the worst. You're getting the worst of the worst right now. But yes.
So, oh, wait, here's another one. So we got $2,000 on June 6th, and we have $795 on June 15th.
That was the remainder.
His rent's $2,800?
Yes.
Does he live by himself?
Yes.
Does he have a job?
But
what
it's freelance though, so it's not always. This has been the worst couple of months. And it's actually never been like this before. But he shoots videos, like what would you call that? Like music videos.
I mean, the music industry is tough industry to be in. Freelancing, starting a company is tough world to be in. And borrowing $2,800 from your girlfriend puts you in a tough situation. I put your girlfriend in a very tough situation. How did that conversation go when he said, "Hey, I need money for rent"?
I mean, I was just like, well, if I have it, I have it. And I know that he's good for it. So it wasn't, no, yeah, that was just it. Just like, okay. I kind of almost, I don't know. He's always taken care of me. He's paid for my rent in the past before. So it was, I just wanted to return the favor.
I mean, I think it's good to help people out. There's got to be boundaries, and also it can't be a continuous thing. Cause I mean, you can't give him $2,000. Have you given any money this month?
Yes, it was like $650.
Okay, so $650. Is he having work right now this month compared to last month, so he can be paying his bills?
This month, yes.
Okay, good,
yes.
Good. And you need to also get him to sit. Frankly, you need to have a conversation with him and get him to sit down, look at his finances. Frankly, if you are loaning him money, I don't think it's a bad idea for you to have the same conversation with him. Or hey, tell him to come on my show, and I'll have a conversation with him too. And we'll go through those transactions. If he's spending $80 to go out to dinner, do this, X, Y, and Z, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be repaying your girlfriend for the loan she gave you, and have those kind of conversations. But I'd definitely get him to sit down, have a budget, and making sure he's sticking to his budget, not going crazy spending his money when he's got a $2,800 loan from his girlfriend right now. Just my take on what I would do if I was in your shoes. So
no, you're right. I agree to that. I do.
So we got a bunch of transactions. ATM withdrawals, 7-Eleven, $40, June 6th. Do you know what that is? We got another one, 7-Eleven, June 10th for $100.
Let me see.
We got another withdrawal, 7-Eleven on June 17th for $200. We got another withdrawal for $220 on June 26th from 7-Eleven. You got another withdrawal on June 24th for $80. What was that? $500 from 7-Eleven's ATM?
Yeah, I think you're right.
What is that for?
100% sure. I'm gonna be so honest. I want to say some of it, if not all of it, was for dispensary uses.
Want to get out of debt, but spending $500 in the month at a dispensary in LA.
Yeah. Like this is like I said, I don't normally run through funds like this, and not on my own. But yeah, so this is
dispensary trips with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Add that to the tab. Okay. Who is Kevin Love? We got multiple payments, and John Marcello. We got $300, $400 going to them during this month. A couple $100 transactions, $200 transactions, $50.
Those are actors.
Actors
just for like short films.
Okay, so people you're working with. Are you making money on those films, or are you paying them to be in your films?
Just paying them.
Okay. And are you making any money with those films?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Mhm.
So between the dispensaries and between these films currently, I'm all for making money and trying to figure out ways to do it, but figuring out how to
Mhm.
do it in a cost-effective way. Between the dispensaries and these films, that's probably about $1,000 right there. And then between the
Yeah.
boyfriend, that's another $2,800. So we got $3,800 right there that your bank account could have ended the month with about $7,000, but it's at $3,000 right now, which
Mhm.
is equivalent to a third of your student loans and being a third of the way being debt free. Granted, I'd always say you need to have an emergency fund built up.
Mhm.
Dave Ramsey teaches $1,000. Keep it as an emergency fund. Everything else goes towards debt. But
Mhm.
we'll call that $6,000 that could be going towards these student loans while there's no interest accruing. So your student loan debt payment would be $15,000 right now versus $21,000. And you want to get out of debt. These are the kind of changes and things you got to do if you want to get out of debt, figuring out, okay, dispensaries, maybe this needs to stop for months. I mean, $500 a month over 12 months is $6,000. And
You're right.
the short form films, how can you get friends involved in that can do it for free, or who can you get involved in that? Heck, your boyfriend, get him to come help do it because you're loaning him $2,800. But doing stuff like that, I mean, that's hundreds, thousands of dollars over the course of a year that can go in towards paying off these student loans. I mean, you could pay off these student loans in probably a year or two if you stop those. 15 months, 16 months, 18 months. If it's $1,000 a month, you can do that quickly. And especially if you're going to increase your income, finding new side gigs, finding new side work and doing that, I mean, you should have no problem paying off $1,000 a month if you cut a lot of this spending right here. Obviously,
No,
you're
yeah.
getting your income up and also cutting these things in your life that aren't necessities. I mean, between the firm payments, the 7-Eleven visits, and the films, it's a lot of money going out the door every single month that, hey, you want to be debt free? These are things that you can change to get there. And once you are debt free, okay, great. Let's set aside a certain percentage of your budget every single month for these wants. And if you want to be investing into your short form videos, making those, great. Let's set aside $100 or $150 a month doing that when you're debt free.
No, I agree. Like wholeheartedly agree. I was thinking about it after. I'm like, oh great, let me go look at my entire statement, and I'm like, oh Lord of mercy, because I know I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I don't spend that frequently every month, and if I do, it's never to this extent. So just like you said, I'm like, oh, that could have went to this. Oh, I could have went to something more important. So yeah, definitely need to backtrack and make sure that we don't have a repeat of this,
Yeah.
because it doesn't make sense.
It won't be good for you long term.
Yeah.
It won't be financially viable. I mean, right now you got a couple of $1,000s in your bank account. You're living in a very expensive city. Your rent's 46% of your gross pay, which is extremely high. And you have $21,000 of student loans that are coming due in a few months. And this type of spending is not sustainable. This type of spending is not, it will lead you to be more in debt. I mean, you told me before you came on the show that you've had issues in the past with using your credit card when you didn't have the funds. And by doing situations like this, spending money that you don't have will leave you in situations like that. So I just want what's best for you and calling you out on things that I would change and improve. If you really want to get out of debt and things you can do, then hey, I mean, you can have the rent paid off tomorrow and you can have the water bill paid off tomorrow. And then, okay, after that, we need to start making a plan for the student loans, $21,000. What I would do in this situation is the student loans, I'm sure, are broken up into a few different smaller loans. But let's do the snowball method with that. And if you have a loan that's $1,000, you have a loan that's $5,000, you have a loan that's $10,000, you have a loan that's, I guess it'd be $4,000, it'd be $1,000, $4,000, $5,000, and $11,000 off the top of my head. That's about $21,000. You'd attack the lowest loan first with $1,000 payment, and then you go up to the next highest loan amount. And the next one, you'd be paying the minimum payments on all of them, but every single dollar that you can on top of the minimum payments would go towards the smallest loan first. So you can start getting momentum and pay off the smallest loan first. And then you move that to the second smallest loan, and then so on up the ladder. And it's called the snowball method. So you're kind of getting momentum as you go. And after you knock the first one out, you're like, okay, great, I'm making progress. You knock the second one out, okay, I'm unstoppable now. I can pay off the second, the third, the fourth one after that. So that's what I would do if I was in your shoes. I'd sit down and make sure I'm budgeting my money every single month. If your boyfriend needs money and is doing it, you need to figure out what is a payment plan there. You need to figure out how can you help him find more work. Do you need to encourage him to go pick up a part-time job on the side? Might not be what he wants to hear, but I think you need to also let him know, like, hey, I'm not in a sustainable financial situation, but giving you $3,400 like I did in the last 45 days, because you're not, frankly. And that's more money in your bank account right now. And you have debts you have to pay. You have student loans coming up. So we got to figure out, I I want to help you. How can I help you do this? This is scaring me financially, and I'm sure it's scaring you because you can't afford your rent. What's a plan we can do to get out of this? I mean, $2,800. He needs to find a roommate if he can't afford a $2,800 a month rent. I mean, that is astronomically high for living by yourself if you can't afford it. And figuring out how can you help him do that. Does he want to have a roommate? Probably not. I mean, a lot of people, they live by themselves, don't want to move back to roommates. But would you rather have a roommate or ask his girlfriend for money every single month who also can't afford to give him money? And just trying to lay out options for him. And it's a harsh reality for a lot of people when things happen, circumstances like that. I mean, freelancing is hard, finding gigs, it ebbs and flows up and down, but he's got to figure out how does he get himself on a budget? How does he, when he has good months, he needs to make sure he's saving money for when he has bad months, and figure out what costs can he cut. And frankly, the rent is usually the most expensive one. So
yeah, no, 100%. That's what needs to happen with myself. I need to have that talk with myself, and then also with him. So we can just.
Well, that's what this is. I just want to be honest and open and tell you what, hey, I think I would do in your shoes. And I know that you will feel better. You said you wanted to be debt free, and these are some actionable steps you can take. I mean, I missed this one, frankly. Is there's another buy now pay later one that's $73 on Klarna on June 26th, $73.10. So that's the fourth buy now pay later transaction we got on here. That also doesn't seem like a necessity. So we got $125, $150 worth of non-necessity buy now pay laters. We have at least $100 on Uber transactions. We have $500 at 7-Eleven's ATM. We have $300, $400 for the short form video actors. We have $2,800 to your boyfriend. I mean, that's $4,000 right there, which is not a small amount of money. So
yeah,
but is that the boyfriend right there?
Yeah.
Tell him I want to have him on the show next week.
I will. I'll definitely give him the rundown.
Awesome. But yeah, I mean, these are just some changes. I mean, you're young, you're 27 years old, which is great. And that's my goal of the show is like, how can I help you figure out your financial situation, make it better? I'll send you some resources and stuff as well after we get off on this that I think would be beneficial to you. I'll send you Ramit Sethi's name and book and his podcast. Different resources I use for budgeting. If you're not making a budget every single month and tracking that, you probably had no idea how much money you spend on Ubers or how much money you spend on the ATM. And if you're not tracking your money, then you're never going to know where it's going to go. If you're not tracking every single expense, you're going to find things in here that you didn't know you're still subscribed to. You didn't know that. Yeah. I mean, you have a transaction for $300 to Spectrum on June 17th. What was that for? Because you have
that was
$4.
That was my boyfriend's phone bill.
Okay, so also a $300 phone bill. What's he got? Like 6 iPhones that are all financed?
No, you know what I think it is? I think it's the I don't know if it's just for games, but he has this crazy software or computer. He has a crazy setup upstairs. So I think it takes a lot of energy, a lot of power. He's doing a lot. He creates a lot of, I think he has like a super computer essentially that just takes up a lot of energy and power.
Is that your apartment? Are you at his apartment right now? Or are you at your apartment?
I am at his apartment.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, okay. I thought for some reason, like if you're at your apartment, he's there, his computer is at your apartment, and you're paying for his rent. So at least you're spending some time where your $2,800 is right now, plus the Ubers, plus the Spectrum. So we're at over $4,000 last month of expenses that are currently non-necessity. What are all these PayPal transactions? We have Alipay. Are you buying stuff on AliExpress on PayPal?
Yeah, you got it.
Are those financed or they're $3 transactions?
Oh, no. I don't know why it's worded that way, but I purchased it through PayPal, but it's my card that's linked to PayPal.
Okay.
So that's how
What are you buying for $3 on AliExpress?
It was probably just, what was it?
A non-necessity?
Oh, you know what? It was like a phone, a screen protector for my phone. $50. I don't know.
That's a cheap phone protector. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
There's like 4 transactions on here for PayPal that are like $3.
Oh, they're just little. It was like a phone protector, a screen protector, probably a phone case. AliExpress gets me. I'll spend $2, $3, $4, $5.
Do you have the app?
Transactions. I do.
Delete it. Are you on Amazon? I don't see any Amazon transactions on here, which I'm proud of you.
I'm not an Amazon girl. I'm an AliExpress girl. Because you could spend $25 and buy 10 things.
Okay, well, delete the app until you're out of debt. I'm being honest. I think
No,
that would honestly help. I deleted Amazon off my phone. When my wife and I moved into our house, I spent way too much money on things. So I was like, oh, I can just Amazon. It'll be here tomorrow. And I deleted the app. It's 10 times. My spending has gone down so much, and it's 10 times more difficult for me to order something because I have to go on my computer. It's just
you're
constant
right. You're
friction.
right.
So,
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I can delete it right now if you want to.
let's do it.
The proof. Okay.
That is a minor part in these financial transactions on the month, but I am proud of you for making small steps. If you're making this step, then you can also make other steps like budgeting your money, getting this other spending under control, and start paying off these dets.
You're 100%. Let's just delete all the shopping ones because
let's do it.
I don't need. This is AliExpress right here. Can you tell?
Yep, you can see it.
Okay, so we're just gonna delete. Let's just delete all of them. Let's delete Ali.
There we go.
Okay, sneakers I don't use. This is just here because I have space. We can delete. This is like no. This is my shopping folder because I'm a. Okay, let's just delete them all. No.
Let's go.
All right, last one. Delete app. Okay.
I love it.
Okay, wonderful.
I love it. I love it.
This too.
Oh, there's another one that didn't make it in there.
No, it didn't make it in there. Arna, Ralph, 7-Eleven. Okay, no more shopping ones.
No more going to 7-Eleven either until you're out of debt. Does that ATM get you?
It does get me. You're right.
Well, I appreciate your honesty and transparency on the show and being open about everything. And I'm hoping that this was helpful in some regards just to learn and figure out how to get out of debt. I mean, right now you have $21,000 of debt. That's not the most tremendous amount I've seen on this show. But there's a few things you need to work on. I mean, you gave yourself about a 6 at the beginning of the show. Probably put you around probably about a 3 or a 4. If we didn't have all those transactions going out for the dispensary, for the video shoot, for your boyfriend, it's $4,000. You have $7,000 in your account. Be in a much better spot, or because a lot of that money could be going towards paying these student loans off. But you still have $21,000 worth of loans. You still have the $250 water bill and the $200 rent bill that should be paid off tomorrow. But you're not in, as long as you get your spending under control and you're spending less than your $2,200 a month, then at least you're not in the negative. With student loans resuming and some of these spending habits, you're going to be in the red once those resume because you're paying for Ubers, you're paying for these, you're spending money on the video shoots, which are not a part of the budget right now. But if you can crack those down and hold yourself accountable with this budget, then you at least be able to pay for your student loans. But you really need to focus on how do you get your income up? How do you start making more money on the side with your doing hair and makeup and stuff on the side? Then also look at, I mean, your rent is pretty high for your income level as well. I mean, $1,250 is pretty steep for where your income's at. I mean, $1,250 out of $2,200 a month net is just over 50% of your income. And that's not where you want to be when it comes to your kind of rent to income levels on the net or on the gross side. So that's stuff I would just think about. How can you adjust that down? How can you get that lower when your lease is coming due? And in the meantime, how do you get your income up? I mean, if you get your income up to $4,000 a month and your rent's still only $1,250, great. You're in a great spot there. And you'd have $1,800 more a month that could be going towards paying off student loans, or, hey, let's start investing some of that money, or, hey, let's spend a small portion of it on shopping or shooting these videos or something that you enjoy doing. So I'd put you about a 3, we'll call it a 3.5 right now. I think by getting your income up and getting rid of these $250 payments, the $200 payments, the buy now, pay later payments, and getting the spending under control, I think you can be well on your way to being able to save money every single month and not feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck or all the money's disappearing, as long as you start tracking it and holding yourself accountable to it. So, yeah. And then you got to start thinking about the long term. Investing. How do you invest in index funds? Don't go start YOLOing money into crypto. Don't go start doing single stocks. But how do I invest into index funds for the long term for my future? Once you start having some buffer in your monthly expenses. So, I mean, right now you're so tight with student loan payments resuming, you're going to be barely scraping by month to month with those resuming right now. So you got to figure out how to increase your income and keeping these expenses under control. Yeah,
I agree. No, this has helped a lot. I'm definitely going to take all these notes and I need to write them down. I'm a visual person. Yeah. Just get to work and to figure out how to. I like the sheet you gave me, the little template. Yeah, the budget template.
I'll send you another website too that kind of automates a lot of that for you. So the template is one I just use for the show to kind of have an understanding, but there's a budgeting app I use called mint.com. I'll send it to you after this. But it's super helpful for me managing my finances personally. I've used it for six years now or so, I think. And it tracks everything, manually categorizes it for you, and you understand, okay, this is where all my money went, or hey, I spent way too much money in this category last month. So I'll send it, you can review and look at, and that'll help you just visualize your expenses a lot better than just looking at your doc or your bank statement. You're like, oh, I only spent $60 on this, or I only spent $10 on this. You're like, oh, that's only $200 maybe. Then you actually add it up and it's like $400 when they're all tallied together. So it allows you to just visualize it a lot more.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. What would you say to anyone watching the show right now?
I would say definitely don't go back on your word. I think it's just, you just have to take care of what's most important. And you're right. A lot of things that I deemed as maybe a necessity, like aren't really a necessity. So really just know what those truly are. Stick to paying those off first before you do anything else. I know I'm not the role model for that, but definitely stick to paying off the true necessities. And come up with a budget. Like you said, if you really like to eat, then try to put money into eating. And if you don't like shopping, then don't go shopping. So just see what you deem as a necessity, and just just pay those off. Pay off what's most important. Try to come up with a pay plan. And probably don't give out loans to people.
I think that's a great idea there. So really appreciate your honesty and transparency today. And if you're watching this, make sure you like and subscribe. Hope you learned something from Jovanda and Maya's conversation today. We hope you enjoyed it, and really just appreciate Jovanda being open and transparent about everything. It takes a lot of courage to come on here and share these numbers openly and willingly. And hopefully you learned something, Jovanda, and hopefully everyone watching this learned something today to identify and figure out in their budget that they can cut back on and start figuring out how to get out of debt and enjoy the life they want to live. So thanks for your time today, Jovanda.
Of course. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.